that equal to the sort of instinctual attraction they have for each other is I feel like, and simply in Taylor's expression here, there's the curiosity and openness to finding self in the other that is so true of young love.
And in this scene, I think I was shoplifting tampons.
I saw Bones and All on a date, a complete whim, and there was quite literally nobody else in the theater. If you plan on seeing it, don't let me influence you. Go form your own opinion first. I understand that director Luca was responsible for a fairly beloved movie, Call Me By Your Name, so I'm sure there were some people excited for this one. I unfortunately have to say, out of every movie I saw in theaters this year, this was the only one I disliked. I'm not normally the target audience for coming-of-age romance films, so take my opinions with a grain of salt. But also take into account that my favorite movie of all time is La La Land, and that was a romantic musical about two people growing in life. So it's not like I didn't have the capacity to enjoy this film. Alas, I did not. I'll try my best to sum it up without main plot spoilers. It had relentlessly edgy fanfiction level writing. It had this air of self-importance. It felt pretentious without presenting anything deep, comparable to a film student's vent project. They try to establish cannibalism as a fairly common and uncontrollable disorder, as well as the idea that cannibals can all smell each other's cravings for human flesh, as if it's a physical need and not just a mental thing. It's not explained how they can smell each other, or how their sense of smell is akin to a bloodhound being able to track people for miles on occasion. I can only assume that it's some kind of power they get from eating people. But later on, a character who wasn't born a cannibal had eaten somebody, and the other cannibals could tell he wasn't like them, which disproves my theory. So these born cannibals are different in some supernatural way, but none of that is ever explored. We just get presented these random rules and have to accept them as is. There's a lot to dislike. Terrible audio balancing, poor line delivery, no focus. This movie had quite a lot of flaws. Before I really dive in, let me say some things I liked. There were a lot of really pretty shots, very colorful ones to contrast the subject matter, and the soundtrack was sometimes very interesting. That's about it. The first issue that stands out to me like no other, the audio. The characters speak very fast in short bursts. Timothée Chalamet mumbled every line, doing this weird Batman-esque mysterious tone. You genuinely cannot hear him 50% of the time, and I don't know if it's intentional. I think that they either couldn't afford more takes or just figured it added to his rugged image for the movie. But it's pretty insufferable when he and the main character are the only two talking for most of the film. Here, take a listen to some of these.
Hey, I'm not just gonna tell you what you want to hear. You ask me a question, I gotta answer it.
Did you catch all that? How about this one?
Thanks.
I don't usually talk to anyone after. I don't actually meet many others. I'm sort of glad not to.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm just saying, I'm not an asshole.
Yeah, they were really going for this grisly, tough guy with an air of mystery for our good friend Timothy. Let me preface this by saying I do like him as an actor. His performance in Dune was fantastic. But what the hell were they thinking with this one? His character's what a teen girl in 2010 would consider cool. He's scrawny and soft-spoken, but they try to make him this intimidating bad boy, and it comes off as silly. Our introduction to him is in a grocery store, where this drunk dude is being slightly rude to some lady. The main girl speaks up and is immediately overpowered by the voice of Timothy further down the aisle, trying to come off as tough. Ironically, this is the loudest we will ever hear him for this movie's runtime.
Hey, don't talk to her like that.
Hey! He goes, "Nah, I'm not with the store, but I'm gonna escort you out of it," as if he's some kind of bouncer. And the drunk man follows him out for a fight. He comes off as showboaty and energetic in this brief interaction, but then for the rest of the movie is this quiet, slow, shady type, and it really makes me wonder what the original vision of this character was. I picture a much more cocky, out-of-control delinquent character, which would make a lot more sense in terms of plot choices and outfit selection. I have this sneaking suspicion that maybe they changed what his character was planned to be, and this scene is the only glimpse we have at what could have been. Instead, we get gloomy McMumbles for the rest of the film. The main character, played by Taylor Russell, is this sad, sheltered girl who, despite being a cannibal for her entire childhood up until this point, had no knowledge of the other cannibals or her scentability, despite every other character she meets somehow knowing all the quirks that come with this disorder, as if it's common knowledge among the cannibals. I don't know if maybe there was some kind of cannibal school she missed, but we can maybe excuse it as her father was very protective and tried to keep her outburst as secret as possible. Anyway, Taylor essentially plays this stoic victim the entire movie, with Timothy being her knight in shining armor bad boy love interest. It's a bit exhausting seeing yet another female character reduced to being an unaware victim of circumstance, saved by a male who wants to sleep with her. Overall, it was gory and edgy without the plot to back it up. What little plot they did have was moved only by external narration in the form of tapes left by Taylor Russell's father. Notice how I keep referring to these characters by the actors' names. That's because I felt so little immersion, I don't remember a single character's name. They were forgettable, and it's a shame because there's moments where a lot of side characters shine in terms of performance. There were also constant jumps from really dark squinty scenes to blinding light. Virtually no payoff or explanation for things, and to top it all off, an ending that just kind of happens abruptly, with no build-up. We just watch these two characters travel and get into danger occasionally, and then the movie kind of just ends after a villain is ham-fisted with little to no motive. Poorly paced, dull, and honestly, if I wasn't on a date, I would have walked out. This movie was a stain on a movie season of otherwise fantastic releases. I give Bones and All 4 out of 10 bones.
She might feel guilty here, right?
Yeah.
That she stole.
Well,
There is always
see
a
the
moral.
little-
You have always a moral compass.
She stole a lollipop, too. I don't know. I mean, I think that's the thing with Marin through the whole movie is that she does these things. This purely is for survival, too.